Thank you for joining us. I hope you've had some lunch. I'm going to hand you over to Martin Hickey, who's a senior technical staff member at IBM, who is going to leverage AI tools in the enterprise with open source software. And so on that note, over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Matt. Okay. So folks, I suppose here at the conference, AI is a big buzzword. For the last year or two, AI has been a real buzzword. Hands up here who's isn't sure what to do with AI. And be honest, it's okay. Hands up anyone here that's afraid of AI. Hands up here, has anyone seen movies like The Terminator, or they've seen, there's I think a movie lately where someone gets a robot and the robot takes over the whole family. I can't think of what the name is, yeah. Is this where your fears might be around that? Or what are we going to do with AI? How are we going to use it? So rather than me give you nice slides and waffle on about it and the whole lot, I've decided to use what I think AI is useful for me at the moment and what I can use it from day to day. So I got a noddy Python class here called Dog. Dog has two base attributes. Attribute 1, 2, it's a mammal, it's a dog, and it returns, you know, I'm a dog first, but also a mammal. And yeah. So when I run that, this is what you get out. That's amazing code, isn't it? But the code I'm not that interested in. I'm interested in, you know, one of the key parts when you write code is write unit tests. Now, be honest with me. If you have to write unit tests for any language, can you write them straight off the top of your head? Can you remember the syntax, the format, the structure? Or do you need to use a tool or go out and do a Google search and, oh yeah, that's the format, and pop it in and then send right and start using your test? So hands up who can do it off the top of their heads. Jeremy, maybe, yeah. Hands up who honestly have to look things up. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Since I went into engineering 30 odd years ago or more, I don't learn things off the top of my head anymore. I know where to look for them and to do it. So wouldn't it be great if I could just select that, click on something, do this, and it's where it gets a small bit tricky. I just want to remember my prompt so that it'll do what I want it to do. And spit out on the left-hand side some unit test code for me. So let's grab that. Let's create a new function. We'll call it, because I'm so original, test dog, which is probably a good name for it because that's what it's testing. And let's see if that runs. And here, presto, it ran the three tests. Or sorry, the three tests, which are quite simple. Okay? But what point am I trying to get across here? Hands up who has any idea of what the tools might be. Anyone want a chance? I know Jeremy knows one of them straight away, probably two of them. So obviously I'm using VS Code. Is VS Code open source? Open license, can you use it any way you want? Yeah, because Microsoft did a really good idea and said, right, let's put it out there. Some people like it, some people don't. I tend to like it. I use it for different languages. Some people like JetBrains for Python. I don't care. I spend most of my life using Vim. So, you know, I enjoy. Second of all, did anyone know what the tool I was that I went over here? What's it called? It's a tool on the left-hand side. Obviously, the name's up there, sorry. So, it's Continue. Has anyone have heard of Continue before? We have? Yeah, that's great. So Continue is an open source code generator or what's the word I'm thinking of? help me out here. Yeah, it's both a code generator. It can do chat. It can do text compression. It can do all different things. That's very handy for developer tools, and it's open. But what does Continue connect to? What does it need in behind it? Where does it send its request? Does anyone know? It sends it to a model. So it needs a model running. So what have I running here? I have Ollama running. Okay? Have you heard of Ollama? You have? So Ollama is a model a runtime. Okay, it's like VLLM, it's like TGIS, whatever you want. It can run a model. But what's lovely about it, and it's actually a thin layer built on top of Llama CPP, if you've heard of that. That's another runtime. Is that you can run it on Macs, on Windows. I think Windows might be beta support, on Linux and so forth. Or sorry, can you run it on Linux? No, you can't run it on Linux. Or can you? No, you can't. And what's nice about it is this. I can see what models have been loaded, and there's one model. Has anyone heard of the Granite models? Matt has. So Granite are a series of models released by IBM that are truly open. And what do I mean by truly open? The weights are open. You can check the configuration that it was trained with. The data is opened. The architecture, the whole lot. You can get all the facts on the model, and you can use it with an open license, an Apache license. So in one way, I suppose I'm using because it's my company's model, but on the other hand, I'm not. I like the model. I like it's cool. In this one, I'm using 8 billion parameter one, so I think there's no clear definition of SLMs, small language models, but anything below 20 billion tend to be that. I've used it with the 2 billion parameter, and I'll show you a code completion in a while, and that works quite well as well. Okay? So what I've done here is I've taken something that normally takes me a bit of time, where I have to go out and check something up, and it's done something for me in a nice, quick fashion, using a model, this thing that we don't know whether to be scared of it, or actually embrace it, or actually roll it to the ground and start fighting with it. We don't know. And everyone's trying to figure out what to do with it and the whole lot. But wouldn't it be nice that you can use it? Because there are great code generation tools out there like Copilot, Tambeen, there's Watson X Assistant, the whole lot. But some of these tools, the license is a bit of a gray area. There's also then that if you run it, where's your data going? So there's data privacy issues then as well. And finally then, there's often a cost involved. Isn't it great that we can take an open model and open source tools and work with it? Another example I've here is around lists. So I have a piece of very simple code here again that's going to check for the letter A in a series of words in a list, and it's going to print out the ones that have A in it. So we get apple, we get banana, we get mango. Now, hands up here, if you're writing Python code, would you normally write it like that in a list? Or are you a Pythonist and you'd like to see list comprehension? You want list comprehension, don't you? This is a question I ask people that write list comprehension. Do you first of all write it like this, and then do you convert it into list comprehension, or do you do it straight off the bat? Yeah, there's shrugs, so which means you don't. I can never remember list comprehension, if I'll be honest with you, okay? I'll probably never get a job again, because I've said that as a programmer. But wouldn't it be lovely if I just grabbed this guy here? I'll grab all of them. Again, I'm going to go out to continue again. I'm going to throw it out there. I better get rid of the other one, I suppose. I'll get rid of that. And this time, I'm going to go back to my old reliable to remember this time I can actually use the shortened version and put a slash and just go list comprehension like this and spit it out. Now, it gives me a lot of text if you want to read it, but this is the guide that I want. Now, it gives you different options where you can accept it. I normally copy and paste it in, so I'm going to accept. So now I've got this, all right? So let's run it again. Bam, I got list comprehension. I look like the coolest, best Python programmer out there because I did list comprehension, even though I didn't really. I cheated a little bit with that. Okay, so I've shown you how you can take an open model, open source tools, and help you in your day-to-day job, which is important. Okay? Let me now change gears for a second. Now, while this has all been going on, I've been letting the server run away here. You can see the requests have been going here, and you can see the timestamps. So every time I ask continue a question, can I run on? Every time continue asks a question, it's going to call out to the model. Has anyone heard of Anything LLM? Okay. So it's a new open source application that allows you to, similar to Continue in the IDE, it allows you to chat, it allows you to do embeddings, it allows you to do agentic. It's a nice tool, okay? And you can configure it for your model. Again, I'm using Llama, I have a Llama running, and I'm using the 8 billion parameter model. So what I'm going to do is do a quick question here, okay? Okay, has anyone ever heard of the Irish word crack? I love telling my North American friends because it puts up, you shouldn't use that word. Oh, it didn't give me the nicest thing there. Let's try it again. Yeah, that could be better actually. But look, it knew something, okay? But I'm going to ask it something that I know came after the time the model was trained. All right? One second now, if I can find it. And this is for my American friends, because an American friend gave me this. Here in Europe, we're not so interested in this. So what is the budget for the fiscal year 2024? So it's telling me it's not officially been put out there yet, blah, blah, blah. So let's crank this up and let's use a bit of RAG. Hands up here who's heard of RAG. So RAG is essentially where you take a model that's trained on something and you take data that you have and you use that as part of the context of the data. It usually comes from a vector database and it gets pulled down while you're making your request, but it's all part of the thing. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to bring in the budget from that has been released just before the last president, President Biden, finished office, and the budget was put out there. So that's got in there now. I'm now going to ask the question this time. Don't let me down. So here we go. It spits it out. It also shows the citations, which is very important, i.e., what was used when he was making the context of that, and you can read through it there like that. Do I have time to one tiny small thing? Go on, give me. Will I go for one more, guys? Yeah. What do we think? God, yeah. I've had no jokes. Did I manage to do one joke in this whole thing? No? I had a few jokes. Oh, is there a couple of jokes? Okay. See, I'm cracking jokes now without even knowing I'm doing the jokes, which is worrying in a way. So the last thing that I want to look at is, get rid of this guy here. I'm going to put something in actually straight into Continue. And it's something a colleague of mine did, and I liked it, where she decided to play around with a model and with tools, and she decided to ask the model, what did the model think of her initial spec for our REST API? So do you know when we write a REST API, has anyone, hands up anyone who's ever written a REST API? Okay. Do you ever find when you're writing the REST API, you always have to go back to the specs and look at what's there and what does that say, and you go out and start using different tools and stuff for that. So this is what she did, and I like it. So she's a whole lot of text here, which obviously you need to tell the model. Oh, all right, sorry, I ran it too fast. Okay, all right. It's still going, is it? Oh, yeah, it's finished now. okay, and she gave it her spec. Let's run that. Okay, so this time it's quite nice. It's saying, look, the structure is good and the whole lot. And as it goes down along, it makes nice little suggestions, okay? So for creating a summary, you could introduce an endpoint like a post to it to summarize outputs. It gives suggesting outputs and the metadata and the whole lot. But the point I'm making here is, and I suppose to conclude, because Matt needs me to go, is we don't need to be afraid of AI. AI reminds me of when I first started working, I started writing assembly, and then I was writing C. And hands up here, anyone who has programmed assembly. Yeah. Now, we'll all say, assembly was great, we loved it, the whole lot. We did not. Don't let anyone fool you and think that blowing an EEPROM and you can't reblow the EEPROM and your senior engineer is shouting at you, why did you mess it up, is fun. It's not fun. When you grabbed C then, you went, what the hell? I can write these few lines, it'll print this out, I'm not worried about it. It was brilliant. And this is the way I'm looking at AI at the moment as a developer, and a developer-centric demo here is that I think we can use it. I think we can use it in a good way with great tools like VS Code, with Continue, Ollama, or any other runtime, and with Granite or any other real open model that we know is open, okay? So I'd say embrace it, try it out, and thanks very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Martin.